What's good, everyone? In this video, I want to show you guys how I flank in Battlefield 6 to get a lot of my clips. Flanking in Battlefield is extremely important. It kind of always has been. And a good flank by one person or even a squad can completely change the outcome of an entire match. So what I want to do here is show you guys some clips of me flanking some people, but actually show you some context beforehand, because I know in a lot of my videos, I don't actually show a lot of context for these flanks, and also explain why they work and how they work and when to do them and that sort of thing. So that way you guys can perform flanks yourself and create some of your own flanks. So let's go ahead and get into the first clip here. This is one of my favorite out of bounds flanks, but as you can tell here, there are actually some enemies watching this currently. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of these enemies, obviously. There's not really a lot of action going on here, so I know that if I kill these few enemies, I'll actually have a pretty good chance of getting behind the enemy team here. So I clear out these enemies, I run out of bounds here, then go into this little area where there's two different staircases you can go to here. I go to this first one, don't really see anything, kind of get one kill, hang out for a second, and then I go back out of bounds again, go to the second staircase, and this is where I see a large group of enemies. This was actually in a previous video, my last video on the TR7. Not the biggest flank ever, but it shows you just how creative you can get with some of these out of bounds flanks and how useful they can be, because the enemies will never really expect you to be here. A lot of flanks are really quite simple as well. There's not really a lot to them. This one, for example, I'm just spawning on Operation Firestorm, taking the ATV, and then going left on the left side of the map where the road is and going behind the enemy. Not really much to it. I just noticed that people often don't actually watch this flank at the beginning of matches on attack, so usually I get a pretty good easy flank. I haven't gotten any really good clips doing this yet. You might see some in a future video, but I am still continuing to try to make this flank work for a big good clip. But I got a decent little streak here where I flank behind the enemy, get a few kills, but nothing really too substantial. Just a good example of how easy it is to flank people sometimes. Here's another example of a very simple flank. As you can tell, looking at the map, there isn't a single enemy or teammate on this side of the map besides me and one other guy. So just take advantage of it. No one's watching this angle. You might as well go ahead and push it and get behind the enemy. And there's so much chaos going on in the moment. This is what you call fog of war. There's a lot of action in front of me where these enemies are, but they don't notice any action happening behind them because they don't expect it. That's what flanking is all about. Somehow that's a Marauder 14. I don't feel like I deserve that, but I got it. Here we have another example of a very simple flank. The enemies have captured B. I'm defending right now. They have captured B and they're going from B to A. You can see where all my teammates are looking. All the action is happening directly between B and A and kind of more towards our spawn. Not really any action happening towards their spawn. So I see an opening here and I go behind the enemy team. Very simple, very easy flank. This particular flank right here, I do pretty much every single time I'm attacking on Liberation Peak. You can kind of see someone flanking right here, but it's very difficult to see because you're behind this rock and this fence post. It doesn't look like this flank would work, but usually at the beginning of matches, no one notices this spot like right away. It takes a little bit for people to start migrating over towards this side of the map. So if you do it instantly, and this happens with a lot of sectors, where if you do it right at the very beginning of the sector, enemies don't have time to go to that position to defend it.
The flank works like literally every time.
And like I just said, a lot of the best flanks happen at the very beginning of sectors. This is immediately after the last clip. We capture the sector. I pull out my knife and just beeline it to their spawn directly behind all the enemies. They do not have enough time to get back, go to their spawn, and then set up on the objectives. You're doing all this flanking before they have time to do anything. So I get behind them on B, clear off B, and we neutralize B like right away. But then I notice after we neutralize B, there still is pretty much no enemies over here. So what I do, we neutralize it, and I go kill a lot of the people hiding up on this hill. There's a lot of people up on this hill. Everybody is kind of focused on A right now.
Bro.
Now this type of flank here is pretty unique. I don't really know what I would call it, maybe a lateral flank or a sideways flank. You're not really going directly behind the enemy and straight into their backs. You're more of going to the side of them and then using maybe a medium to long range or even long range weapon like a sniper to just continuously pick off enemies. Most of the time on these types of flanks, you won't really be noticed for a very long time. This is perhaps not the greatest example of one of these flanks because you can get found out here pretty quickly, but there's a lot of flanks like this and I've featured them in previous videos. These are very, very useful, and not just for you to get kills, but one player can completely control a side of the map without the enemy team knowing. Here's a better example of this. This was from a previous video, but as you can see here, I'm using speed to my advantage at first here, where I'm just pulling out my knife, running across the street. There are enemies shooting at me, but because I'm running so fast, they can't hit me. And I get behind the enemy and then I climb up on this rock here. This rock is really, really good if you're attacking because it's on the defender's side of the map. So they don't really expect you to be up here. So if you get up here and get to where the enemy's spawn is not facing you, but you're facing the side of the enemy, this flank is very, very effective. And these sideways flanks like this are very useful.
This spot is fucking OP as shit.
If you guys like this video and found it helpful, please make sure to leave a like and sub. It helps me out a lot. I know this is more of a quick video, but I just wanted to show you guys how I flank, and hopefully this will help you guys perform your own flanks. Thank you, and bye everybody.